Hi, I'm Lark. I'm the ATCC library technician. You can find me over in room 707 in the 700 building, Monday through Thursday from 8:15 a.m. to 4 p.m., give or take. I might be wandering around campus. So if you see me, say hello. But today I'm going to show you how to access some of the library's resources online. Let's start by going to the library page on the ATCC website and taking a look at what we have there. All right, so Shar is a little bit cut off on my monitor, but if you see Shar at the top of the screen, you know you're in the right spot. The library's hours are going to be listed up at the top here, and just a brief description of what is available in the room, and then our contact info. So you can call the library or email the library if you have any questions. And we also have a 24/7 live chat. That being said, the 24/7 live chat is just for general information. So say, for example, you're trying to research a topic for a class assignment and you're not super sure where to start, you could send a message to the 24/7 live chat, and the librarian staffing it would probably be able to help point you in a good place to start. But if you have any questions about, say, an item that you checked out from Alex Tech or your library patron account, or some service that the Alex Tech library provides, the 24/7 live chat isn't going to be able to respond to that, unfortunately. So you would have to contact the ATCC library directly if you have questions like that. But our contact information is right there. So perfect. There's also a link to the library catalog and the search bar. So you can click into the ATCC library catalog, or you can type in your search terms directly in the search bar and hit search. Either way, these are both going to take you to the same place, essentially. And we also have a list of our electronic databases by topic. You can click on each of these and they'll give you a list of sort of related to what the topic or subject matter is, databases that are going to contain media related to those. Probably the most popular, most widespread, useful, high traffic databases are going to be under interdisciplinary resources. Here you've got things like Academic Search Premier and JSTOR, which is where these are. Academic Search Premier in particular is probably going to be like your go-to database as a student. If you're ever doing a research project, I would check Academic Search Premier first. And I will click into that in a second and show you some more, but let's look at the catalog for a second. So this is sort of a starting page for the catalog. It has some of the same info, how to contact the library, talks a little bit about the search service that we use. You can also sign in up in the top right corner with your star ID and password. And that will let you see, say, for example, you checked out a book from the Alex Tech library, or you have an interlibrary loan book that was sent to Alex Tech from another library that you checked out. You can sign into your account and you should be able to see, the history of any items that you checked out. If you have something that's due back soon, you can also request a renewal. One thing to note, though, is that if you're trying to request a renewal for an interlibrary loan book, Alex Tech, myself, because I don't get to choose the due date for those. That's up to the lending library. So there is a chance that they would deny the request to renew an interlibrary loan book. Sort of depends on if someone at that library, at the lending library, had requested it or put it on hold or something like that. But for the most part, I think any renew requests that you put in are going to be accepted. The other cool thing, you can, I've said the word interlibrary loan a couple of times now, and I don't think many people know that the LXTech library has the capability to search for books that other libraries have in their collections and request that they are sent to LXTech, where you as the patron can then check out and then bring it back to my desk essentially. And then I am in charge of making sure that those books get sent back to the library that we borrowed it from. And if you've ever stepped inside of the LXTech library, you know that we don't have a ton of books on the shelf right now. Hoping to change that in the near future, but it's really cool that since we don't have a ton of books, we're able to still request books from other libraries, and they're willing to share them with us. Now, by default, your search bar isn't going to include materials from other libraries. So what you'll have to do is click on the magnifying glass here. And you see where it says ATCC, hit the little drop down button next to that and switch it to Minnesota Libraries MinPals. And then when you search, I like to use the golden compass as an example because it's the first thing I can think of. I'll give this a second. So it's going to pull up items that we don't necessarily have. We don't have a copy of the golden compass physically on hand at the LXTech library. But what we can do is we can click on one of these. And then check for available services. Oops, that's an audio. Let's do a book. Let's do that one. Now you can see that other institutions have it, but we don't. So what you do is you're going to sign in. This is, again, just your star ID and password. And then you should see this little box that says resource sharing. You can click on it, and it's going to pull up a form. Most of the form is already going to be filled in for you. You see you've got a book. We want the whole thing, so we don't need just a specific chapter or pages. There's the book title, author. If there's multiple editions, you would see it here, the publisher, the publication year, and we want a physical copy of it. And then I have it set to my personal email, my work email. It's not my personal email, but you know what I mean. And then all I have to do is check this box here. This is just, saying that we're going to abide by copyright law and that we're acknowledging that photocopies or any other reproductions of the copyrighted material is against the law. So you're basically agreeing that you're not going to do that, which I would hope that you don't. And you don't have to worry about this box. You don't have to click willing to pay. All of the fees involved with getting interlibrary loan books through our library support service, MinPals, is completely free for us. You don't have to worry about that. The only thing you have to do in this form is check the box and then hit send request. Now our library system is called Alma, and Alma should send out Alma should send out emails with the email that you have listed in the email Dropbox that will give you updates on where your interlibrary loan item is. So I would imagine you would get an email confirming that your request was successfully submitted, and you get an email saying when it's arrived. And then I also personally send out an email when I get the interlibrary loan books in room 707 and have them checked in. I send out an email to you to let you know that your item has arrived and that it's ready to be picked up. And then when you come to pick it up, it's just the sort of standard, I check the book out to you, I give you a slip with the due date on it, and you're free to take it. And then once you're done with it, you just bring it right back to me, and I take care of the rest. It's as simple as that. Pretty nifty, huh? But let's go back to the library page. And I mentioned Academic Search Premier. So let's click into that. Academic Search Premier is a specific database hosted by EBSCO host, which hosts a lot of the databases that patrons here at Alex Tech have access to. But it's not the only one. EBSCO actually hosts a number of different databases. So you can see right next to where it says Searching Academic Search Premier, there's a Choose Databases button. And here's a list of all of the EBSCO databases that you have access to if you have a star ID and password through Alex Tech. And the cool part of this is that you can click on these little arrows here, and they'll give you a little description of what is included in them. You can also hit the detailed view button up here, and this will bring up the full list, and they'll have all the short descriptions. You can view title lists. So this is going to show you which academic journals are included, from when to when, from what starting date and what end date they have full text for, all that good stuff. The other thing you can do here is you can hit select all, and it does warn you that searching all the databases may result in slow response time. But if you select all, or if you select a number of different databases that you think are going to have the most relevant results to your search, you're going to get a much wider net of results when you're doing your research. So that is pretty handy. The other things that you can do to help make your research more efficient is we can take a look at some of the database tips that I had prepared ahead of time. So let's pull those up for you guys. So these are just my very, very quick and easy database search tips. When you're searching for information for an assignment, it would be best to start with 2 or 3 keywords and be flexible. If you're not getting a lot of results with one particular word, try looking up synonyms for it and see if the synonyms will pop up instead. You might get more results that way. Autofill is going to be your best friend. Autofill, if you are trying to search for something and you start to see more results pop up in the search bar that are autofilling for you, that's a good sign that the database has media on that particular topic, or that includes those search terms in its metadata. So if you are seeing autofilled results, that's a good sign that you're using the correct keywords and the database recognizes them. And then know when you need to widen or narrow your search. So there's basically 2 different types of searches, right? You've got your basic search, which is going to be, that's your simple, you're just going straight to the search bar, typing in something and hitting enter and seeing what pops up. You're probably going to get a wide net of results, but you're also probably going to get a lot of stuff that isn't relevant to what you're trying to research. You might get stuff that's really old and outdated, or items that don't have the full text, and you might need the full text. So there are things you might need to do to narrow down your search. For more precision, you can use an advanced search. We can take a look at that again in just a second. In EBSCO host, so you can kind of see what that looks like. This is going to be more precise. It's going to help you refine using the filters that are available. So maybe you're looking for a CD or you're looking for a video. You would be able to refine your search results to only include videos or only include newspapers, something like that, when you're doing the advanced search. It also opens up the opportunity to use Boolean operatives, which is going to be like your and, or not. And I can show you an example of those in just a second here. However, the downside of the advanced search is that if you are too precise with your search terms and filters and Boolean operatives, you might get a very, very narrow net of results. You might not even get any results in some cases if you are that particular about what you're looking for. But let's go and take a look at the advanced search options in EBSCO. So here it is, right underneath the search bar. Let's see. Let's say I'm interested in learning about politics. See, we're getting some search terms popping up here, some autofill stuff. Cool, politics is the first one that popped up. That's awesome. That tells me that there's probably going to be a good number of results, just including the search term politics. And the Boolean phrase selected. The only other thing you can do is you can select so if you happen to know, the title of the book or article or any other piece of media, you could type that in and try to search by title, author. You could search for abstracts, all sorts of stuff. And then this is where this is your Boolean operatives. You have your and, or not. So let's say we want to search for politics, but we don't want to search for any politics that are dealing with, let's say we don't want to deal with any like financial politics. So let's type in finance and hit search. So now this is going to pull up all these different results about politics, but are going to exclude results that talk about finance. You can use or for if you want results either about politics or about finance, and you can use the and if you want to search for politics and finance. So let's search and see what that brings up. We'll see now when I've changed the Boolean operative to and, you see that now results are coming up with both finances and politics right in the title. Yeah, so that's just sort of the quick and easy learning how databases work sort of spiel. I do want to touch very briefly on, let's see here. We could talk a little bit about content sources. So you have primary sources and secondary sources. Your primary sources are going to be your sort of immediate firsthand original stuff. This is anything that was created at the time or in direct connection with study, events, other circumstance. Think things like interviews. An interview is an example of a primary source because you're sitting down and asking someone questions and then recording their answers, et cetera, et cetera. Photos, video, or audio that capture an event, newspaper reports that are written, right at the time that whatever they're reporting on is happening, right? And then your secondary sources are going to be one step removed from your primary sources, and they're meant to interpret and analyze those primary sources. They're both very important for your research, so probably keep that in mind when you're putting together different resources and all that good stuff for assignments and the like. And let's see here. This is the slide I wanted to pull up. So I'm talking about all this, and the big question is, why don't I just Google this stuff? If I want to learn about something, why don't I just Google it? And I understand that with today's technology, Google is a very convenient sort of instant gratification way to search for information, but it is not always reliable. In fact, there are a number of studies that have come out in the past few years showing how Google has become more and more unreliable as time has gone on, because corporations and vendors pay Google to advertise their websites and products. So when you do Google searches, you're not necessarily getting results that are relevant to the keywords you typed in. The first results that you're seeing are results that were paid for to be advertised at the top. And that's kind of manipulative, in my opinion, and not the best for if you're trying to do academic research. So the reason we use these databases that are available to students through the ATCC library is so that you're using scholarly sources that are peer-reviewed, are published by credible sources. They have to go through this whole long process to be published and then hosted by a journal or magazine company. They go through a whole process. They're also a lot easier to access, or they allow you easier access to primary source materials. You'll actually probably, I don't know, you might have noticed this when I was looking at EBSCO, but here, let me go back to EBSCO for a second here. Look in here, we've got the American Antiquarian Society historical periodicals collections. There's a few of them, and these are probably you're going to find collections in our databases like that are going to contain historical materials. You might have old photographs or digitized newspapers from previous centuries, which is both really helpful when you're doing research, depending on what you're doing research on, of course, but it's also just really, really neat. And yeah, I just thought that was super cool. And the other part about using these databases that Google has got nothing on is that our databases like EBSCO and JSTOR, any sort of scholarly database that Alex Tech subscribes to and pays annual fees for so that you don't have to worry about paywalls, they're almost certainly going to have the bibliographic information already in the article or on the side of the article. So you don't have to go look at Purdue OWL and try to figure out, how do I write the bibliography for this source? You don't have to go to EasyBib or bibme.org, whatever other bibliographic citation site you might use. EBSCO and JSTOR and all of the scholarly databases are probably just going to have your bibliographic information already available and properly formatted for you. So I can show you an example of that too. Let's go back to searching for politics, because why not? And we'll just click the first one. You see we've got a full text here. Let's click on that. And then over here on the right side, you've got the button that says Cite. And then up here in this gray box, look at all these different formats. It even shows you what your reference list should be titled as. For Chicago, you want the reference list. For Harvard, Harvard Australian, you don't have to worry about that one. I don't think you're going to be using the Harvard Australian bibliography. But here's MLA. That's a pretty common one. This one's showing that you're going to use works cited at the top. And then you can just copy and paste the bibliographic information right into whatever you're working on. So yeah, that's going to save you a lot of time as well. I would still recommend Purdue OWL for in-text citations if you need to, do the whole like parentheses after a quotation. That's going to show you how to format that part. But for the end part where you're writing your list of references or works cited, your scholarly databases are going to have that info ready to go for you, which is super, super nifty. But yeah, I think that's all I've got for this one, and hopefully this is helpful, and I would love to see some more of you around the library when you get the chance. I'm available, or when I'm in the office, I'm available too. You can also schedule an appointment with me if you've got a big research project you're working on. You can give me a call or send me an email or just stop by, and I can help you find some of the sources that you might need for your research. That's part of what I do for my job. So yeah, I hope you have a wonderful day, and don't forget to stay curious.